The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the winding coastal road into a river of regret. My Jeep skidded on the slick asphalt, tires screaming against the storm's fury, and in that split second I saw her face, Elena's face, flashing in my mind like a ghost I couldn't outrun. The world flipped, metal twisted, and everything went black. When the light pierced through again, it wasn't the sun. It was her voice, steady as the eye of the hurricane. "Stay with me," she said, her hands, cool, sure, unyielding, pressing against my chest. And for the first time in years, amid the chaos of sirens and shattering glass, I felt something like home. I didn't know her name then. Adriana, she'd tell me later, with a smile that could crack the hardest shell. But in that moment, as the paramedics swarmed and the rain soaked through my clothes, she was just salvation wrapped in a fluorescent vest. The crash had been my fault. Pushing too hard, too fast, fleeing from a life in Seattle that had crumbled like dry autumn leaves. I'd come to Spain on a whim, chasing the sun-soaked hills of Andalusia, thinking the Mediterranean air could wash away the ache of a failed engagement and a family that saw my queerness as a phase to pray out. West Spain, they called this stretch, the rugged cliffs of Huelva, where the Atlantic crashes wild and untamed, far from the tourist traps of Barcelona or Madrid. It was supposed to be my reset button. They airlifted me to Hospital Universitario Virgen del Rocío in Seville, a sprawling complex of white tiles and echoing halls that smelled of antiseptic and olive blossoms drifting in from the open windows. I woke up groggy, tubes snaking into my arms, a dull throb in my ribs where the seatbelt had bitten deep. The room was dim, curtains drawn against the dawn, and there she was, Adriana, perched on a plastic chair, chart in hand, her dark eyes scanning me like I was a puzzle she was determined to solve. "You're awake," she said, her English laced with a soft Andalusian lilt, rolling R's and vowels that stretched like warm honey. "Elena, right? From the paperwork. You gave us a scare." I tried to sit up, winced, and fell back. How? How long?" 12 hours. Concussion, fractured ribs, some lacerations. Nothing we can't fix." She stood, all 5'6" of quiet efficiency, her uniform hugging a frame honed by long shifts and longer runs along the beach. Early 30s, I guessed, lines of experience around her eyes, but a youthfulness in the way she moved, like she carried the sea in her step. "I'm Adriana." I was first on scene. The memory flooded back. Her hands on my skin, parting the wreckage, her voice cutting through the panic. You pulled me out." She nodded, a ghost of a smile. "Team effort. But yeah, you were stubborn about it." She checked my her fingers brushing my wrist, accidental maybe but electric. "Rest now. Doctor rounds in an hour." She left, and the room felt emptier, colder. I stared at the ceiling, replaying the crash. It wasn't just the road. It was everything before. Back home, my ex-fiancé, Mark, had proposed with a ring that felt like a noose. "This will fix us," he'd said, as if love could be bartered like stock options. I'd said yes out of fear. Fear of my parents' Bible Belt disapproval. Fear of starting over at 28. But the doubts gnawed, and when I caught myself staring too long at the barista with the tattooed arms, I bolted. Sold everything, bought a one-way ticket to Spain. Freelance graphic design paid the bills. The rest was supposed to be freedom. Freedom tasted like irony now, bandaged and bitter. Adriana checked on me that afternoon, bringing a tray of watery gazpacho and crusty bread. "Hospital food's a crime," she joked, settling into the chair again. "Eat what you can. Build strength." I managed a sip, watching her. Up close, she was striking. High cheekbones, a smattering of freckles across her nose from too many suns, lips that curved like the crescent moon over the Guadalquivir. "Why are you here?" I asked, bolder than I felt. "Don't you have other patients?" "Shift slow. And..." She hesitated, tucking a strand of black hair behind her ear. "You remind me of someone. Back when I first started this job." "Tell me," I said, the words spilling out before I could stop them. She leaned back, eyes distant. "My sister, Elena. Car wreck 5 years ago. Drunk driver. I was the one who found her." Her voice cracked just a hair, but it was enough. Vulnerability, raw and real. "I'm sorry," I whispered. She shrugged, but the weight lingered. "It made me who I am. Paramedic at 22, straight into the fire. Grew up in a little village outside Huelva, fisherman's daughter, salt in my veins. Families tight-knit, Catholic to the core. They don't get why I chose this life, why I'm not married with kids by now. The air thickened. I knew that script, the unspoken judgments, the prayers for normalcy. I get it, I said softly. Back home it's the same. I'm from Seattle, but my roots are Texas. Mom still sends me pamphlets on conversion therapy. Her eyes met mine, sharp and searching. Seattle? Tech girl. Graphic designer. Ran from a wedding that wasn't mine. We talked until the sun dipped low, painting the room in gold. Stories flowed. Her late-night shifts chasing ambulances through olive groves, my disastrous attempt at flamenco lessons in a Seville bar. Laughter bubbled up, easing the ache in my chest. When she stood to leave, her hand lingered on the bedrail. Get better, Elena. The world's too big to miss. That night I dreamed of her hands, not in panic but gentle, tracing paths I'd never dared explore. Discharge came 3 days later, a blur of prescriptions and warnings about driving. Adriana insisted on driving me to my rented casita in Mazagon, a whitewashed speck clinging to the pine-dotted dunes. Can't have you crashing again on my watch, she teased, tossing my bag into her battered Renault. I swirled my glass. Honestly? No clue. Design gigs online, maybe hike the coastal path. Figure out who I am without the script. She nodded, eyes on the horizon. Spain's good for that. It strips you bare, then builds you back. A pause heavy. Me? I'm stuck in the spin cycle. Work, family dinners where Abuela asks why I'm still single, the occasional date that fizzles because I'm not what they expect. Our gazes locked, the unspoken humming between us. And what do you expect? I breathed. Her laugh was soft, deflecting. Someone who sees the storm and stays anyway. We arrived at the casita as dusk fell, cicadas chorusing in the jasmine vines. She helped unload, pausing at the door. Call if you need anything. Numbers on the card. Her fingers brushed mine, deliberate this time, and then she was gone, taillights fading into the twilight. I collapsed onto the terracotta tiled floor, heart pounding. This wasn't recovery, it was ignition. The weeks blurred into a rhythm of healing and hunger. Mornings I'd sketch on my tablet, bold lines of crashing waves, figures entwined in shadow, while afternoons meant walks along the Playa de Mazagon, the sand gritty underfoot, the sea whispering secrets. Pain meds dulled the ribs but not the pull toward her. Text started innocently. How's the soup? From me, a photo of my latest design. Healing like a champ from her, a selfie in scrubs, sweat damp hair and a grin that hit like caffeine. One evening as thunder rumbled offshore, she showed up unannounced, raincoat dripping, a bottle of Rioja in hand. Heard you were going stir-crazy. Thought we could talk. We sat on the patio, lanterns flickering against the storm. The wine warmed us, stories deepening. She spoke of Elena's laugh, how it echoed in every siren wail. I confessed the night Mark proposed, how I'd stared at the ring and seen chains. I thought love was supposed to feel safe, I said, voice small. But it felt like drowning. Adriana's hand covered mine, thumb tracing circles. Safe's overrated. Real love? It's the dive, the gasp for air together. Her eyes, dark pools, held mine. The air crackled, electric as the lightning forking the sky. I leaned in first, tentative, lips brushing hers, soft, tasting of wine and salt. She froze, then melted, her hand cupping my neck, pulling me closer. The kiss deepened, a slow unraveling, her breath hitching against my skin. When we broke apart, foreheads touching, she whispered, I've wanted that since the wreck. Me too, I admitted, the words a dam breaking. That night we didn't rush. It was whispers and touches, mapping each other like uncharted coasts, her fingers in my hair, my palm against the curve of her waist. No frenzy, just a quiet claiming, bodies speaking what words couldn't. We fell asleep tangled in sheets that smelled of sea air. Her heartbeat a steady drum against my chest. Dawn brought coffee on the patio, her head on my shoulder. This feels right, she murmured. But right things in my life had a way of shattering. The idyll lasted a month, fragile as sea glass. We carved out stolen moments. Picnics in the pine-scented trails of the Odiol marshes, where egrets ghosted over brackish waters. Lazy Sundays in her cramped apartment in Huelva, cooking paella that singed our fingers and our laughter. Adriana was a force, fierce in her tenderness, Her love a lighthouse beam cutting through my fog. She'd trace the scar on my cheek from a childhood fall, kissing it like a promise. You're beautiful in the broken places, she'd say, her voice thick with that Andalusian warmth. I, in turn, learned her edges, the way she'd pace after a bad call, replaying what-ifs, how she'd hum old flamenco tunes while folding laundry, her hips swaying unconsciously. My designs bloomed under her gaze, vibrant abstracts inspired by the cliffs, sold to galleries in Madrid. For the first time I wasn't performing, I was alive. But shadows crept in, insidious as the tide. My phone buzzed with voicemails from home. Mom's pleas laced with scripture, Dad's gruff, "Come back, kiddo, we'll sort this." Mark's texts were sharper. "Heard you're playing house in Spain. When you're done with your little experiment." I deleted them, but the poison lingered. Worse was Adriana's family. We'd kept us quiet at first, but Huelva's a small world. Gossip travels faster than the wind off the Atlantic. Her brother Javier, a burly mechanic with a mustache like a broom, cornered her at a family asado one Sunday. I waited in the car, heart hammering, while raised voices drifted from the backyard. "¿Qué demonios, Adriana?" "A woman. After all, Mama es done." Javier's bellow carried. "Mi vida no es tuya," she shot back, steel in her spine. "I love her." End of story. The door slammed, and she slid into the passenger seat, face flushed. "He'll come around. Or he won't. Doesn't change this." I squeezed her hand. "You deserve better than ultimatums." She smiled brittle. "Love's full of them." The first real crack came in late September, when Elena's anniversary hit. Adriana withdrew, shifts doubling, texts sparse. I gave her space, but worry gnawed. One night I drove to the station, found her in the break room, staring at a faded photo. Two girls, teens, arms slung around each other, Adriana and Elena, gap-toothed and grinning. "Couldn't sleep?" I asked, sliding beside her. She traced the frame. "Miss her." And guilty. Like if I'd been faster that night. "You couldn't have known." I pulled her close, her sobs muffled against my shirt. "You're not God, amor." We made love there, desperate and slow on the sagging couch. Not passion's fire, but grief's quiet anchor. Afterward she whispered, "Promise you'll stay. No running." "Promise." I lied, because even then, doubt whispered of flights back to Seattle, of safety and solitude. October brought the storm, literal and not. A nor'easter battered the coast, flooding roads, stranding fishing boats. Adriana was on rotation, gone for days. I paced the casita, sketching furiously. Waves devouring cliffs, figures clinging to driftwood. When she finally staggered in, soaked and hollow-eyed, I had stew simmering, a blanket ready. "Bad one?" I asked, toweling her hair. "Flash flood. Lost a kid." Her voice broke. 8 years old. Pulled him from the car, but lungs full of water. I held her as she shattered, pieces I gathered through the night. Dawn found us on the beach, barefoot in the surf, her hand in mine. "I can't lose you too," she said, fierce. "You're my light, Elena. And you're mine." We kissed with the salt spray on our lips, sealing vows against the horizon. But vows are paper thin. The betrayal brewed in secrets I kept buried. I'd reconnected with an old friend from Seattle, Lila, a queer activist who'd mentored me through my coming out at 20. Harmless emails at first. "How's the escape?" She'd write. Found myself I'd reply, gushing about Adriana. Then Lila visited. Flew into Seville on a whim, crashing at my place for a week. "Just friends," I told Adriana, who was buried in overtime. Lila was vibrant chaos, dyed blue hair, tattoos of Audre Lorde quotes, stories of pride parades that made my Huelva hideaway feel small. We talked late into nights, wine-fueled confessions. Her latest breakup, my lingering fears of family rejection. One evening after Adriana's double shift, Lila and I were on the patio, laughing over a botched attempt at sangria. Adriana walked in unannounced, eyes taking in the scene, Lila's arm casual on my shoulder, our flushed cheeks. The air iced over. "Am I interrupting?" Adriana's tone was even too even. Lila stood, gracious. "Hey, you must be the hero. Elena's told me everything." She hugged Adriana, who stiffened. We explained, friends, nothing more, but the seed was planted. That night in bed, Adriana was distant, back turned. "She looks at you like she wants more." She's just a friend, I insisted, tracing her spine. Like your old paramedic buddies. It's different. She rolled over, eyes stormy. I see how you light up. The way you used to. Before. The words stung, a mirror to my own insecurities. We made up with urgency, bodies bridging the gap. But the fracture lingered. A hairline crack in marble. Lila left, oblivious, but the damage rippled. Adriana pulled back. Fewer overnights, excuses about family obligations. I threw myself into work, landing a commission for a Seville gallery show. Coastal Echoes. Abstracts born of our love. Opening night approached, a milestone I wanted to share. The gallery was a restored convent in the Barrio Santa Cruz. Walls dripping with azulejos, air scented with orange blossoms. I invited Adriana, texted coordinates. She promised to come straight from shift. The crowd buzzed. Expats in linen suits, locals sipping vermouth, as I mingled, heart swelling at the red dots beside my pieces. Midnight Nird. No Adriana. Texts unanswered. Panic clawed. Accident? Shift overrun? Then through the throng I saw her. Not at the door but across the room, deep in conversation with a woman I didn't know. Tall, elegant, mid-30s with sleek bobbed hair and a laugh like champagne bubbles. They leaned close, Adriana's hand on the woman's arm, familiar, intimate. My stomach dropped. I wove through, voice steady. Adriana. She startled, color draining. Elena. The show, it's stunning. Sorry, traffic. The woman turned, appraising. You must be the artist. Isabella Ruiz, Adriana's old flame. Her smile was a blade, polite but cutting. Old flame. The words hollowed me. Adriana's eyes pleaded, later. But I was already fracturing. Enjoying the reunion? I managed voice glass. Isabella chuckled. Water under the bridge. We were kids, really. But the bridge had flooded, sweeping me under. I fled to the patio, breath ragged, the night air no bomb. Minutes later, Adriana followed. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Tears hot on my cheeks. You disappear, then show up with her? After accusing me with Lila. She recoiled. Isabella's in town for a conference. Paramedic training. We bumped into each other. Bumped? Or sought? The accusation flew, born of hurt. Her face hardened. You don't trust me? After everything. The gallery lights mocked us, laughter spilling from inside. How can I when you hide? I whispered. We're building something real, but you're half in, half out. She stepped closer, voice breaking. I'm scared. Alaina. Of this, of us. Families breathing down my neck, works a grinder. Isabella. She was easy. No stakes. Betrayal bloomed, sharp as thorns. So I'm the stake? The risk you're regretting? No. She grabbed my hands. You're the reason I fight. But I can't lose everything. The chasm widened, unbridgeable in that moment. Then maybe you already have. I walked away, the crashes echo in my bones. Behind me the sea of faces blurred. But her silence roared loudest. The fallout was a slow bleed. I threw myself into the aftermath of the show. Interviews with local papers, shipments of canvases to buyers in Barcelona. But each brushstroke was laced with ache. The casita, once sanctuary, echoed with ghosts. Her forgotten hair tie on the nightstand. The scent of her citrus shampoo in the pillows. I avoided Huelva, stuck to the dunes, running until my ribs protested. Lungs burning like accusation. Adriana's texts came in waves. We need to talk. Please. I read them in the dead of night. Thumb hovering over reply, then delete. Pride, fear, love all tangled. Lila, sensing the rift via email, urged, don't ghost her. Fight for the real thing. But what if the real thing was illusion? 2 weeks in, Javier called, Adriana's brother, voice gruff over the line. She's a mess, Americana. Won't eat, snaps at everyone. Whatever you did, fix it. Me. Indignation flared. Ask her about Isabella. A pause heavy. Isabella? That was years ago. Ancient history. Adriana's loyal to a fault. It's why she's gutted. The words pierced, forcing a mirror to my jealousy. Was I projecting Mark's ghosts onto her? I drove to Huelva that afternoon, palms slick, heart a war drum. Her apartment was in a faded block near the Odio River. Balconies festooned with geraniums. She answered on the third knock, eyes red-rimmed, hair unkempt. a far cry from the steady paramedic. Elena. Breath whooshed out like she'd been holding it. Can I come in? She stepped aside, the space cramped with bookshelves of medical tomes and framed photos. Elena prominent, a young Adriana beaming beside her. We sat on the sagging sofa, silence thick as fog. I'm sorry, she started. For Isabella. It was nothing. A coffee catch-up nostalgia. But I should have told you. Transparency, right? I nodded, throat tight. And me? With Lila. It was innocent, but I see how it looked. We're both scared, projecting shadows. Her hand found mine, tentative. I am scared. Of Abuela's rosary beads clicking in judgment. Of Javier's lectures turning to silence. But losing you? That's the real terror. Tears welled. I ran here to escape chains, but with you I want to stay, build, not flee. We talked for hours, unraveling threads. Her closeted youth stealing kisses with girls at village fiestas. My Seattle isolation, dates that fizzled under parental scrutiny. Laughter crept in, tentative. Her mimicking Javier's mustache twirl. Me recounting Mark's proposal fumble. By midnight we were kissing again. Forgiveness a slow burn. Bodies rediscovering trust. But reconciliation was fragile, tested swiftly. Thanksgiving loomed, my American quirk, and I proposed a quiet feast. Turkey from the market, a sad imported bird. Cranberry sauce improvised with local berries. Adriana invited me to her family's for the weekend after. A olive branch. They know about us now. Storms passed. Nerves jangled as we drove to the finca outside Huelva. A sprawling farm of almond trees silver in the November sun. The house was chaos. Aunts stirring pots of cocido, cousins chasing a soccer ball. Abuela in her widow's black, rosary indeed clicking. Javier clapped my back too hard, muttering, "Welcome to the madhouse." Eyes followed us, curious, wary. But Adriana's arm around my waist was armor. Dinner was a roar. Toasts with homemade anise liqueur, stories of harvests past. Abuela pulled me aside later, her grip bird-boned but fierce. You make her eyes shine, Nina. That's enough for this old heart. No sermons, just a nod, humanity in the quiet. We left bloated and buoyant, stars wheeling overhead. In the car, Adriana exhaled. See? We're okay. But okay was prelude to unraveling. The call came at 3 a.m., 2 weeks later. Adriana's phone shattering the dark. Station. Multi-car pileup on the A49. She dressed in frenzy, kissing my forehead. Back by dawn. Dawn stretched to noon, then evening. My texts pinged into void. By midnight, dread coiled. I drove to the hospital, the same sterile halls where we'd met. A nurse, her friend Sophia, spotted me in the lobby. Elena. Is bad. My world tilted. Where is she? Or, shrapnel from a truck, femoral artery. They got her stable, but Sophia's eyes glistened. She asked for you. They let me into recovery at 2 a.m. Machines beeping like accusatory clocks. Adriana lay pale, tubes everywhere. A bandage blooming red on her thigh. Her eyes fluttered open, finding mine. Hey, beautiful. Tears blurred. You scared me. Sorry. Habit. We chuckle, then wince. Promise you'll stay? Even when I'm this. Always. I stroked her hair, the irony biting. We traded places, me the anchor now. Recovery was hell. Infections flaring, rehab grinding. I moved into her apartment, juggling designs and caregiving. Spooning caldo de pollo, reading her Lorca poems until she slept. Her family rallied, Abuela's prayers now for healing, not conversion. Javier fixed my Jeep gratis, grumbling affection. But in the quiet hours, doubts surfaced. Adriana, doped on painkillers, murmured one night. What if I can't be enough? After Elena, now this. Broken goods. You're whole to me, I whispered, but the seed of her fear took root. Christmas approached, lights twinkling in Huelva's plazas. We hosted a small gathering, Sophia, Javier, even Isabella, invited as olive branch. Laughter flowed, eggnog spiked with punch. But as midnight mass bells tolled distant, Adriana pulled me onto the balcony. I love you, Elena. But the job. It's killing me piece by piece. Quit. The word escaped, reckless. Her laugh was hollow. And do what? Teach? This is who I am. We kissed under mistletoe, but the precipice loomed. January brought the ultimatum. Not from family but fate. A Seattle gallery offered a solo show. Echoes of Exile, my biggest break. 2 weeks in the States spring. Come with me, I begged, packing sketches. See the rain, the markets. It'll heal you. She hesitated, eyes on the sea from our window. Work's short-staffed. And leaving feels like running. It's not. It's growing. Desperation edged my voice. The argument escalated, voices rising, old wounds reopening. You're asking me to abandon everything, she shouted. And you're clinging to chains. I fired back. Isabella's shadow invoked unfairly. She recoiled, face crumpling. Go then. Chase your stars. I'll be here, holding the ground. I left for the airport in tears, the flight a blur of regret. Seattle welcomed with drizzle and deals. My show a hit, critics praising the raw emotion of displacement. Mom and Dad attended. Awkward hugs thawing to questions about that nice paramedic. Lila crashed the after-party, toasting my triumph, but her presence soured, a reminder of fractures. 2 weeks stretched eternal. Text from Adriana, proud of you. Miss you. Then silence. Panic surged. I cut the trip short, booking the red-eye to Seville. Home, or what was home, greeted with emptiness. The casita dark, her apartment key under the mat unused. Javier answered his door, face etched with sorrow. She didn't tell you? Tell me what? Resigned last week. Said the job took too much. Packed up, went to Madrid. Training program, desk job, admin for emergency services. Safer. The world grade. And us. He shrugged, helpless. She loves you. But after the wreck, she couldn't risk it. Said you'd understand. Betrayal, not hers but circumstances, crushed me. I drove the coast that night. Cliffs mocking my isolation, waves a dirge. Spring unfurled in cruel beauty. Almond blossoms carpeting the roads like fallen stars, the Atlantic a deceptive calm. I sold the Jeep, sublet the casita, wandered Huelva's markets in a daze, buying figs I couldn't taste. Designs poured out, darker now. Fractured horizons, solitary figures against tempests. The gallery in Seville extended my contract. A lifeline, but each euro felt hollow without her laugh echoing in the studio. Javier became unlikely ally. Coffee meetups at his garage, grease-stained hands offering gruff wisdom. She's stubborn like Papa. But hearts like hers? They circle back. He shared stories. Adriana as a girl bandaging stray cats, her vigil at Elena's bedside, singing lullabies through the coma. Loss carved her, but you? You gilded the edges. Abuela invited me to Easter Mass, her pew a quiet claim. Afterward, over tortoise a seat, she pressed a silver locket into my palm, Elena's with a tiny saint inside. Guard it for her. Remind her family's bigger than fear. The gesture cracked me open, tears salting the crumbs. Human connection. Unyielding. May brought a card, no return address, postmarked Madrid. Stars suit you. Grounds lonely without you. Enclosed a pressed olive leaf, symbol of peace. My heart lurched. I booked a train north, the avenue slicing through Sierras like a promise. Madrid was a whirlwind, granite facades, Retiro Park cypresses whispering secrets. Her new life was a modest flat in Chimberry, near the training center. Stacks of protocols, a balcony herb garden thriving under her touch. I knocked, pulse thundering, half expecting rejection. She opened, eyes widening, thinner but the fire undimmed, hair longer, curling at her shoulders. Elena! No accusations, just embrace, fierce, forgiving. We tumbled inside, words tumbling after. Her terror post-wreck, the job's toll mirroring Elena's end. My exiles echo how absence clarified want. I thought I'd lost you, she murmured, forehead to mine. Never. We talked through dawn, plans not pipe dreams. She'd finish training then transfer south. I'd anchor in Andalusia, studio by the sea. Love, we learned, wasn't stasis but evolution. Yielding to winds, not breaking. Summer sealed it. We returned to Mazagon, reclaiming the casita with paint-splattered rituals. Walls in cerulean and terracotta, shelves of shared books. Her shifts now balanced, part-time response, part admin, leaving evenings for us. Sunset runs where she'd challenge me to races, collapsing in giggles. Stargazing on the beach, her head in my lap, fingers laced. Family woven seamlessly. Javier's barbecues, Abuela's sly matchmaking with nice girls from the village, that dissolved into chuckles. Even Isabella visited once over tapas, stories swapped, no shadows, just mutual respect for the woman who'd claimed our hearts. The climax came unbidden. A late August blaze scorching the Danana National Park. Fires raged, swallowing pines, forcing evacuations. Adriana's old team called. Volunteer surge needed. She looked to me, eyes questioning. Go, I said, no hesitation. You're her light too. She suited up, the familiar vest a second skin, kissing me fierce. Back before you miss me. The wait was agony. News feeds flickering with helicopters dumping retardant. Smoke choking the horizon. I sketched by the radio, lines frantic. Flames devouring, hands outstretched in rescue. Javier paced with me. Abuela's rosary clicking steady. Dusk fell, sirens wailed distant. Then her truck, caked in ash, pulling up. She emerged, soot-streaked, grinned triumphant. Saved a family, tourists pinned in their RV. Nothing major. I launched into her arms, ash be damned. My hero. We washed the grime away together, water cascading, bodies renewed in gratitude. That night, under a canopy of stars, she whispered, "You stayed. Through the fire. And I'd do it again." Our lovemaking was sacrament, slow, reverent, affirming life's fragility and fire. Fall deepened our roots. I opened a small studio in Huelva, Echo's Atelier. Walls alive with our collaborations. Her photos of rescue scenes, blurred motion heroism. My interpretations, color-drenched hope. The opening drew crowds, expats, locals, even a Seattle buyer who'd seen my show. Adriana stood beside me, hand in mine as flashbulbs popped. Mom and Dad visited in October, jet-lagged but open. Walks along the promenade, questions tentative. She makes you happy? Dad asked, squinting at the sea. Then that's enough. No full absolution but a start, humanity's quiet grace. As winter loomed, we drove the coast at twilight. The road that nearly claimed me, now a ribbon of redemption. Remember the crash? I teased, wind whipping. She laughed, hand on my thigh. Best bad decision ever. In the rear view, Spain stretched, wild, weathered, welcoming. We'd betrayed fears, conflicts forged stronger. Emotions deepened into wisdom. No fairy tale perfection but a story human scribbled. Two women, hands steady, choosing each other against the storm. And in her touch, safety, enduring electric home.